Well, as Epic Universe's construction is nearing an end, as this park is just about done, and there will be a new construction video coming out this week on the latest progress there, so be on the lookout for that video coming up later this week. But the question many people have been wondering and asking, knowing that the park opens May 22nd of this year, is when will we hear about team member and annual pass holder previews for Epic Universe? And we have an article here from Blog Mickey that talks about a rumor of when we could expect this. So we're going to read through this article and give some thoughts on it. So hi, I'm Jared with Capture the Magic. And it says, Universal Epic Universe milestone rumor, park operations takes over next week as phased previews begin. It says, according to blogmickey.com sources, Universal Epic Universe will hit an important milestone next week as Universal prepares its brand new theme park for a May 22nd debut. Universal Epic Universe has been under construction for more than 5 years now, and we're starting to enter the home stretch, which includes previews of the park. Our sources indicate that the first large-scale team member previews will begin this month, and that park operations will take over the daytime hours of the theme park as early as next week. It says, here's what we know. According to our sources, Epic Universe will be handed over to park operations beginning next week. This will reportedly mark the start of team member previews, which will occur on a land-by-land basis at first before expanding to the entire park by the end of the month. Universal Orlando has not returned a request for more information. The start of the preview period marks a significant shift in who will be walking around the park during the daytime hours. Up until this month, the park has been crawling with construction crews working hard to build Epic Universe. Starting next week, these construction crews will shift their operations from around the clock to just overnight hours as the theme park needs to be show ready for the previews. This means that construction will be relegated to overnight hours. That makes sense because I do think if you look at the construction photos, and again, there's going to be a video coming out later this week on the latest construction progress, but some of the areas may still need a little bit of concrete, but for the most part, it's landscaping and probably removing a lot of the construction equipment would probably look much more closer to being completed and maybe what it looks like sometimes in the photos. So overnight hours would make some sense as you do previews in certain lands to start. So it seems like construction is not going to completely wrap up before previews start, but they'll just work overnight to get those done. While we understand that thousands of team members and maybe their guests will be part of the preview period as a whole, it's possible that the early previews will begin at a management level before expanding over to team member roles. We also expect that Universal will be meticulous in how they manage the previews, first operating land by land, then expanding to multiple lands, and finally operating a full park preview. Right now, we understand that a full park preview is scheduled for later this month and into early March. In terms of when guests might be able to step into Epic Universe for previews, that remains a mystery. Universal Orlando has previously said that it will host annual pass holder previews for Epic Universe, but no further details have been released as of published time. We expect that annual pass holder previews will take place in the weeks or months leading up to the May 22nd opening as part of a robust preview period for the new theme park. Again, that coincides with what we've been hearing for months now, which is that there would be multiple months of previews on some level, and it makes sense to start with team members first and then move on to annual pass holders. Now, I think one of the questions is it going to be annual pass holder previews, or is it going to be some sort of soft opening in terms of you would still have to pay something to get into the park, but just at a discounted rate? This is what they did with Islands of Adventure when it was in its preview mode, as at least at the time, people had the opportunity to pay a reduced rate to go check it out while it was still testing. So we don't know about that. I would assume, given that the annual pass holder tickets, the single day tickets, were part of what the offering is for annual pass holders and not being included on the annual pass holder package, which I'm not surprised by. I do think we may be looking at annual pass holder previews that includes a free or a preview of Epic Universe at no charge. I wouldn't be surprised by that. I think it would be a pretty good gesture by Universal to do that for the annual pass holders, because at that point, if the annual pass holders got to go through it once or twice or however many times before the park opens and they still are able to purchase tickets after the fact, I think that's a pretty decent compromise for Universal and the annual pass holders. And then probably about a year later, be able to add on an Epic Universe annual pass holder package. I mean, obviously, I'm very much looking forward to finding out when we'll be able to, go in here, as I've been watching the construction progress for years, so I definitely want to get in here and check this out. But I do think multiple months of a preview is a very good idea because, obviously this is a highly anticipated park. There's tons of expectations for it. And really high expectations and a lot of hype can be bad because, in some people's eyes, it may not ever live up to that hype. That is definitely something that could happen with this park. Now, I think it's going to be a fantastic theme park and all the elements of it I'm very much looking forward to, but you do run the risk of it being so hyped up, or during the opening period that things happen as likely can happen with new openings of theme parks that leaves a lot of people feeling underwhelmed by it. So I definitely think with the pass holder previews and the team member previews, running this park through its paces as much as you can is a very, very good idea, especially during this period. They're going to be training team members that are going to be working in Epic Universe. Obviously, ride testing has been going on for a very long time on these rides in here, so more than likely the rides, for the most part, are ready to go, but it still doesn't mean that they're necessarily ready for people to be going through them at a high rate, how the park flows. Like, there's lots of things to figure out about this and try and foolproof the park before it opens to have the best opening period that you can. You know, I do think Epic Universe is going to be successful regardless. More than likely, Universal knows how to run theme parks, but the opening period is going to be very important, because if those first reports back on it are things break down all the time, the wait times are super high, things didn't run right, that is going to leave a bad taste in the mouth of a lot of people. And I think that word of mouth, much like a good movie, is going to be something that will help this park. If people go in here and they have a really good time, they feel like it was worth it, that word of mouth will spread on top of the already, you can almost say, viral hype that this park has. And I think that's only going to be something that would help it. So you can either have it go in the good direction or the bad direction. And even if it starts out on a rough foot and they fix it, even that first rough opening period could be a bad indicator for some people about this park. But I do think they're going to take every precaution that they can to prevent that. And obviously, you can't account for every single scenario that can happen in a theme park. So, you know, we're going to be there opening day and the second day. I fully anticipate there being some issues pop up, just because even if you run through a whole year of previews, once you open up that park to the amount of people that are going to be coming through it, you potentially could have issues that just can't be replicated even with a pass holder preview time period. But I do think doing the pass holder previews for multiple months is something that will help the park and help the people working in the park be able to get trained up on it, run through potential scenarios that can happen, and also make your pass holders happy by being able to check this new park out before the general public. As you know, a lot of people are looking forward to this park, are annual pass holders that have been really looking forward to this. So this fits everything that I've been hearing for months now, and I even heard from a couple of people that messaged me last week saying be on the lookout very soon for more information about early previews. This also lines up with that. So it seems like that this is something that is probably, I mean, I know it's listed as a rumor here, but everything I've heard, this is definitely something that is happening very soon. And again, it makes sense. If you look at the construction photos, it's coming near the end of most of the things in there. And whatever work is left to do, they're going to do at night while they do, you know, land previews, maybe singular lands before they open up to the whole thing. But it's very exciting news on that front there. And of course, we'll have to wait for details about how the pass holder previews will be, or the team member previews will be, when you'll be able to do that, how it's going to work, all the details. And when we find out about that, we will talk about it on here and let you know about that. But either way, that's going to be it though for this video. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel as we do lots of coverage here of Universal Studios, Epic Universe, Disney World, and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, what do you think about all this? And until next time, we will see you in the parks.